Smiling Friends might be Rick and Morty. Hear me out, most videos on YouTube that I've seen about this show are gassing it up to be the next big adult animated TV show. It is, that's a fact. There is a fine line between praising a show for being good and overanalyzing it and destroying what makes it funny. Guess which one we're at? I adore this show, but I can't help but feel that the writing's on the wall and you'll get it by the end. In case one of you don't know, for context, Smiling Friends is an adult animated TV show that features the four main characters who work in the charity called Smiling Friends. It's episodic. The episodes are 11 minutes long. Each episode rotates the cast who work with each other to deal with the problem of the week. The main characters are Pim and Charlie, but some of my favorite episodes are when they play with that formula. I love Gwimbly. Pim and Alan is an exacerbated dynamic that gave me high hopes for season 2.
Did it meet them?
The Rick and Morty theory. Rick and Morty is the contemporary example of an adult animated TV show that has had its reputation soured and therefore became generally disliked, regardless of how good the show is. Its reputation precedes it, but I have to laugh. Other creators on YouTube are not approaching the comparison with nuance, as they are not acknowledging that Smiling Friends and Rick and Morty both exist within the context of an adult animated sitcom, although there are differences. But The Simpsons originated on Fox, which had a humble beginning of animosity towards the establishment and was in protest of sterile American media and American society itself. Subversion is intrinsically woven into the genetics of an adult animated sitcom. This can blatantly be seen by the medium of the show being animated. The Simpsons created the genre. South Park released in 1998 and it built off of the formula. Different plot, however. Subversion was still a part of its DNA, as can be heard in the episode It Hits the Fan, where it swears over 200 times, breaking the barrier of swearing in television in the process. The Simpsons and South Park are both long-running adult animated TV shows, and they've both faced comments about being stale. The Simpsons has had a hard time of fighting the allegation of being stale, because being a show from the 80s parodying other 80s media just doesn't work in today's world, because we don't live in that society anymore. No one today could afford that house by working that job. The most realistic part of The Simpsons is Homer beating his son. South Park has kind of changed its format to be longer animated movies. I think that's how it fought the stale allegations. Stale allegations are important because media reflects the culture it's made in. Hence why The Simpsons and South Park are episodic. I'm not doing that again. Which is contrasted by Rick and Morty. If you're wondering why I'm wearing a sweatshirt and shirt underneath, it's cause it's pretty cold where I live. Rick and Morty reflects the culture because of the rise of serialized shows. It also saw the holes that its peers fell into. Their formulas are relatively constricted compared to the sci-fi adult animated comedy that can do anything it wants. Pickle Rick, anyone? Rick and Morty is protected from decay and being stale because its plot can be anything. Or so you thought. The reputation of Rick and Morty got severely damaged by the fanbase of the show. The show having a nihilistic perspective on life and Rick being the smartest person in the world led the fanbase to subconsciously adopt that mentality. Which sounds like a lofty accusation, but I think it genuinely has merit. It's annoying whenever people adopt a character with a mental illness as an identity. I hated going on social media and to see fans of BoJack Horseman identify with that character so heavily, and all they do is complain about their lives. Your girlfriend left you because you vape. You're not BoJack. With Rick and Morty, it was that one copy pasta, the Szechuan sauce, and Rick and Morty becoming a stoner icon. Blah 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 blah. If you were there, you'd know, but there was a vocal minority of fans of Rick and Morty who were being pretentious and gatekeeping the show, ultimately turning it into something it's not, but in the way that people who smoke weed discover empathy. Whenever a show joins mainstream culture, it gets immediate backlash, and the actions of the fans can overshadow the substance of the show. I like it when a show gets popular. I don't like it when there are fans who have only watched the show through memes and clips, misinterpret the show, and people farm it for content. Why is Smiling Friends relevant? The humor is unapologetically Newgrounds, thanks to Zach Hadel and Michael Cusack. It's internet humor, and a show like this could only thrive in the current era. The humor being derived from Newgrounds isn't inherently negative. It's straightforward to a fault. The jokes are easy to digest. The characters immediately became iconic. The show has an incredible reputation online, with countless videos praising it. And one event made me shiver. This tweet stated that Mr. President was the most accurate and realistic depiction of modern American politics to ever be aired on television. Placing this comment on top of a guy who can barely speak is overanalyzation and ruining the joke. Among other creators that say something along the lines of, Smiling Friends quote unquote changed everything, or analyzing characters that have no real substance at all. Aw, I understand that when a show gets popular, people want to get a bag. But there is no meat in that bone. Why are you trying?
It's like he's got some good genetics. His eyes, hair color, and sex are green, at least according to the WNW. Although his eyes don't really look green to me. And his hair, what hair?
This type of content is going against the intentions of the creators. If you saw people doing this exact thing, Heedle saying, it's not complex, it's not gonna change your life, it's just supposed to be stupid, funny, and that's it. It's okay to talk about a show and review it. I don't want anything I said to be taken personally by other creators. It's fine to review a show and draw fan art. I love that, keep doing it. There's for sure a conversation to be had about media literacy and grasping at straws for content though. And thankfully, there has been pushback on these kinds of people. If you don't want to watch a show because of the sentiment it has on social media, you're valid. You're also not allowed to call it bad. Don't spread negativity for a piece of media that you haven't even tried to watch. We're in an era where people are ashamed for not wanting to watch something. And if you've been on social media and seen obnoxious posts like these, I don't blame you for not wanting to watch the show. Is it judgmental to not want to watch a piece of media because generally speaking, the people who watch it and talk about it online are annoying? Yeah, I don't think you should have an issue with them though. Because if I didn't want to watch Steven Universe because a fan sent the storyboard artist a death threat because they wouldn't make their gay ship canon, I think you're valid to not want to partake in the culture. It's hard to enjoy media in a bubble. A lot of our enjoyment comes from being able to share our joy with other people. Whenever I had a friend tell me that he didn't want to watch Smiling Friends Season 2 because he didn't enjoy the way it was being talked about on social media, mate, I was flipping devastated, like, I'll admit. I was initially confused, I was stunned, but I thought about it more and realized that the show's humor will ultimately lead to its downfall. The humor was, for lack of a better word, novel back when the pilot dropped in 2020, which was a golden time for the pilot to drop. I understand that Newgrounds has built this culture of abstract, abrasive humor, and I've seen it with other animators from that platform. I'm thinking of Ego Raptor. We're in 2024 and season 2 wrapped up, and I'm not gonna act like there aren't issues. The humor is extremely contemporary. Short form content became prominent in 2020. Fast-paced jokes meant that you could make people laugh 2 to 3 times per minute, which was the perfect environment for season 1 to drop in 2022. In a Jimmy Beast attention economy, there's a pressure to keep people through fast jokes and short plots, but in my opinion, I think Smiling Friends Season 2 suffered from this, albeit not intentionally. Because Newgrounds have been a thing for like 30 years, there's only so many times you can do a jump scare and have it be funny. There's only so many times you can kill off the villain in a stupid way and have it be funny. And there's only so many times a character can have the exact same role and have it be funny. If I had $1 for every time there was a fat man who had an obsession for food as his main character trait, I'd have $2, which isn't a lot, but it's weird it happened twice. It's worse that these episodes happened right after each other. I enjoyed both of these episodes, but I'm not gonna act like it was novel. At times, the show can rely too heavily on tropes, which is ironic as it subverts them each time. But you become familiar with that, and it gets to the point where I am numb and have no reaction when Mr. President says something evil on TV. We've been here before. Other adult animated TV shows get away with it easier because they have a vast library of content. Maybe too much content, but I'm scared that we'll be in later seasons of this show and getting the same gags. I don't want Smiling Friends to get stale. I don't want the fandom to be an echo chamber of the exact same sentiment that the show is life-changing. I thoroughly enjoyed season 2. There's another video titled Smiling Friends is not Rick and Morty. This video isn't a response to it, the title is tongue-in-cheek. They argued that Smiling Friends is not Rick and Morty because it's a happy-go-lucky show that doesn't brew that same type of pretentious fan that Rick and Morty had. Although there are positive shows with fanbase who have done awful things that damage their reputation. And I merely want to point out that Smiling Friends is at risk where over-analysis and fan pride can overshadow its simplistic and stupid charm. History doesn't repeat itself, but it sure does rhyme.